Welcome to my video. I'm back. It's been probably 2 months at this point. So I think my last video was sort of Christmas themed. As Christmas themed as you can get. So yeah, as the title indicates, I did go undefeated in a collegiate arena. Let's go. Now, just a couple things about that. I late joined, and because I late joined, I got paired with lower rated players, and no offense to my opponents, but that's just kind of how it was, and so I went 4-0 because of that. And so what this arena is it's a weekly arena, like Collegiate arena, and essentially you join representing your school and you accumulate points for your school. So if you have the most amount of points accumulated, then I think you win some prizes. And even individual weeks, I think last week some of us won some platinum memberships or something like that. So that's that. And also, you might notice the sound quality changed, possibly for better or for worse. I got a new mic for Christmas. Say hi to the mic. And I'm excited to use it. Still tinkering with the settings and just, how to best optimize the sound. So hopefully this sounds good, but feel free to let me know if you have any feedback, or if you happen to know what the optimal setting for a Yeti mic is. That would be awesome. But for now, hopefully this sounds a little bit more crisp than my past videos. And yeah, also for a change, I have the evaluation bar. Just thought it might be cool. So yeah, and just last thing before we get to the games, I'll be looking at 4 games today. Normally I just do 1 game a video, but we'll be doing this Gotham style, recaps. So let's get into it. So it was an E4, E5 opening. Nothing too unusual. They played the exchange Roy Lopez, that's fine. Castles. I played this move knight e7, which I've been tinkering with a little bit. The idea to go knight g6 and protect the pawn. And if he takes, I still have queen d4, forking the knight and pawn. So d4 was played. The opening's not all that important. There might have been some anecdotes that are worth talking about, but, knight f5 going after the bishop, and he checks me. I played king f7. Yeah, I wasn't really afraid of this. Yes, he could play, I guess computers liking knight e5, and I just thought I could take. Yeah, my king's exposed. It's not ideal, but even computers indecisive. And so he kind of misplayed it. Knight h4, queen f6. And here I thought, I'm totally fine. Yes, my king's on f7, but how can you attack it? Queen h5, I was just going to go g6, and I'm doing totally fine. Something in my eye. Hopefully it's not a huge deal. Never really is, but so he played knight f3, played bishop g4, and a few moves later my opponent played knight e5 check, and this is where I found the only good move, because obviously the inclination is to probably take with the bishop, as taking with the queen would, just lose the queen. But if I take the knight, we just trade pieces. That's not really what I want. So I found a better opportunity. I play queen takes e5. And I forgot to label some of my moves. So queen takes e5. Now, if you're higher rated, it may not be all that impressive, but it's kind of a danger levels concept to where, yes, he can take my queen, but I'm attacking his. So it's just like that. And the point is that, of course, if queen takes e5 also is that I'm threatening the h2 square with my bishop. So he takes my bishop, but I take his pawn. And this looks like a mating pattern. It's not quite. He plays king f1. And the point is, if I check him, which I did, he just hides with king e2. I considered going rook e8, so just sort of closing the door before I can even allow him to enter. I think I metaphorically phrased that horribly, but the idea is that I'm preparing queen h1 checkmate, so if he just chills, then I have mate. It's a very instructive concept, by the way, but I was just afraid of something like queen d7, and apparently I'm doing great after king f8. What's the best move here? Still better for me, but it says knight e4. Yeah, I just thought check. And also, by the way, this is blitz. I believe the time control is 5-2, so just take that as you will. Knight e4, I play queen h6. As obviously my queen was attacked, so I have to move it somewhere, so I chose the h6 square. He played king d3. I played this move b5, which I really liked, just preparing c4, and I mean, if he takes, then like, this can't be good. I mean, his king's on d4, I have all sorts of pieces swarming, so I'm totally cool with that. He traded pieces, and it's just better for me. I mean, I'm up 2 pawns, and his king is exposed. Yes, my king seems somewhat exposed, but even if I hide on like g8 or f8 or something like that, actually no, g8's losing because of rook takes e8, but you know, king f8's apparently very good, and like, I mean, yes, he can check me, but then I just hide on g8. However, here I just traded queens with queen g6. I mean, computer would rather me go king f8, but we trade pieces, and then king f7, and then just trade some more pieces. Little surprised that he went into the pawn ending. I'm not sure what he saw. Just generally, if you're down a pawn, you can survive a rook endgame, or like queen endgame, a lot of types of endgames. But pawn endgames, if you're down a pawn, it's almost always hopeless. There are exceptions, of course, like if you can get a breakthrough or something like that, but I didn't really see the counterplay for him, and I just activate my king. Yeah, just activate my king, put it in the middle, and then c4, so I create a passed pawn. Technically 2 when he trades, but I mean, they're double pawns, so creating 1 passed pawn at least is the goal. And here I found a nice move, g5. It's not the only move, but it's a nice move that freezes these pawns. The point is, I just didn't want to like slack off and allow some counterplay, although I can always just travel my king over. But if I do, then he takes these guys. So g5 just simplifies matters, forces resignation, and we're off to the next game. If this happened to be like an awkward transition, then I accidentally spoiled the final position, so you know, now you don't get to see it. So this was another e4, e5, another Roy Lopez. This time he dropped back with bishop a4, which is more common than taking. Knight f6, castles, bishop e7, c3, b5, and then castles, d4. So here I'm just kind of winging it. I'm not even sure what's going on. Like, really, as soon as he played c3 and bishop c2, I was out of book. Like, I'm not exactly sure what to do here. Opening Explorer says d6, computer says d5, you know, whatever. d4 takes, d5. I played this idea, which I've seen before, which is knight e4. So it looks risky because it looks like he can take, and I might have a weak pawn on the e4 square. But the concrete idea is that if takes, and he goes knight d2, then I have pressure on the d4 pawn. And I mean, you know, once that pawn falls, his whole center collapses, and it's just very good for me. I mean, computer was saying, like, queen c2, counterattacking the knight, but I'd still just take, and then, like, take g2, attacking the rook. And then, yeah, I think I saw a line like queen takes g2, and I can even just take this pawn, because if takes, bishop h3, and I'm just coming in. I mean, computer's like queen f3, defending, but it's interesting. King takes, queen c4 check. Oh, yeah, it just picks up the bishop. So it's interesting, but it's blitz, so we don't really analyze these insane variations. h3, f5. f5, if there's no en passant, will help solidify my knight. And if there is en passant, I just recapture. I'm not worried. I had an extra attacker on the d4 pawn and give my rook a half-open f-file, so just continue playing moves. g4, I think, is a mistake. It is attacking my bishop, but unnecessarily opens his king. Yeah, I would say that, like, probably 90-95% of the time, someone at that level plays, like, g5, g4. It's just bad. I mean, you'll see, like, top-level players do it. You might see, like, me do it sometimes, but just, like, generally, unless you have a very concrete, like, tactical or positional justification, it's just bad, because it opens your king. Bishop g6, rook e1, and here I missed an opportunity to exploit said open king. In this position, I played bishop h4, which is still fine. I mean, I'm pressuring f2, and I'm like, you know, my rook could join in if it wants, but actually, why don't you pause the video and find the best move or sequence of moves while I take a sip of my water. All right. Yeah, a lot of the variations are complicated, so if you need more time, feel free to pause the video. So the move in this position, you start with knight takes f2. You're sacrificing the knight. Okay, if they don't take, then you've just destroyed their king side. You're going here, you're attacking the queen. They're probably going to take. That's going to be the more testing option. And then here, there are like a couple moves that are winning, but the most convincing in any order, in either order I should say, is either bishop h4 and then bishop c2 or vice versa. The idea is, let's say bishop h4 first, the knight is pinned, and even if it's not, then you're probably fine if they trade and queen takes and just infiltrate, but king g2, you trade, queen takes, and then you sacrifice the rook. No, I'm not going to scream it like Levy does, but you sacrifice the rook with the idea to get the fork. So that's the idea. You sacrifice the knight, and then you sacrifice... Oh, that's the other way around. I think I put that variation. But you sacrifice the rook, all with the goal to get the queen. So, interesting combination. I mean, in Blitz, I'm not going to see it. Although, you know, maybe in Classical I do if I just give myself enough time to calculate and focus. Because I was considering knight f2. I just didn't see the continuation. So anyway, I played bishop h4. I mean, similar justifications. Not like with the sacrifices, but just trying to penetrate on the weakness of f2. And my justification is that like if knight takes h4, apparently here knight takes f2 still, which makes sense. But even just recapturing. And I just have way too much pressure. My rook, my knight, my queen. Yeah, just not fun. Bishop e3, and then in this position, I'm just realizing this for the first time. Knight c3 is winning. Takes. Oh yeah, the knight just hangs. That's that. All right, we missed some tactics, but it's Blitz. It's fine. It's a difficult position anyway. I mean, he takes and drops the piece. And, yeah, trades on e4, which I don't think helps him. Because I have a nice bishop slicing through his king side. That's just mate with bishop f3. In this position, I'm threatening mate in 1. The only move to not get mated is to play f3. But they didn't do that. So, we sealed the deal with bishop f3. Blocks the pawn from moving, covers the escape square. Even if he tries to like move the rook to escape somehow this way, my rook takes away too many squares, and it's just checkmate. All right, moving on to game number 3 versus Automatopoeia41. Legendary username, I gotta say. It was a Queen's Gambit, it was a Slav, and once again, the opening's not, you know, the most important for this video. He blundered a pawn with b5. I'm not sure what that was about. He played queen a5. I assume he probably thought there was like some double attack, but maybe didn't realize that I was protecting with the queen, and also the knight will protect the bishop. Yeah, the knight will protect the bishop, so not sure what that was about. So I'm just up a pawn, basically. Now it gets a little bit complicated, although it's just better for me. I think I missed some tactics at some point. Here, sorry, it was later. Right, in this position, bishop c7 is something I would do if it's not for my knight. It's just knight f7. That's the second time knight f7 was a tactic, right? I guess in my previous game it was with black, so it was knight f2. But yeah, it's simply a clearance sacrifice here just to go bishop c7. So that's that. I played knight c6, thinking it was cool because like I force a trade of the knights, because otherwise I'm forking his queen and rook. I was just like, yeah, we're just going to play rook takes, and then we're just going to double on the c file and then just conquer the world. Rook ac8, rook fc1. And then here, I panicked for a moment, because I thought I blundered mate in 1 with queen e1. However, I breathed a sigh of relief when I realized that if he plays queen e1, I play bishop f1. I'm actually just doing fine. Now, should I have allowed the counterplay? Probably not. But apparently, computer likes it because of e5 for some reason. And I knew that, I just don't remember why. What if I take? Then he goes rook b8, exploiting the pin. Well, not the pin, but just attacking the bishop. I guess it is awkward for my bishop to move. If I just... Oh, no, it's pinned. I'm a dummy. So it is a pin, yeah. Sorry, guys, I'm rusty. What if I just go a4? Now he plays queen e1, and there's the pin. Wow, that's nasty. Yeah, e5 is not a very natural move. Yeah, it's just not. I mean, it's attacked by 2 pieces. Like, white... Oh, it blocks this. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, we'll move on. No more of that computer gibberish. And yeah, rook c3 just blocks the attack. And by this point, I had bishop c7 in mind, forking the rook and queen. He plays g5, which encourages me to play bishop c7. Then for whatever reason, he prioritized his rook over the queen. And then just resigned. So, yeah, sort of a bizarre game. But let's get ready for an even more bizarre game next. Alright, this is the 4th and final game. You know, the way an arena works, you just try to get as many games in as possible, and because I joined late, I only got 4 games. I was playing a 5th, but it aborted, and part of the challenge is this is a 5-2 arena. Sorry, 5-2 time control in a 1-hour arena. So half the battle is probably getting enough games in. So you can see, like, I won all my games, but I think I only placed like 13th or something, maybe 16th. Just because I didn't get enough games. But anyway, let's look through this final game I played. He played the England. He was very close, by the way, like 1 second away from just forfeiting. Like, it was saying like he would auto-resign and the countdown was ticking. So I don't know if e5, although he knew like the continuation with like queen e7. The thing is, the England is just hot garbage if you know like exactly what's going on. You're actually supposed to go into the main line with bishop f4 and then bishop d2. And here, the mistake that people make is bishop c3, which falls for bishop b4. So the idea is that you're pinning the bishop. If you try to defend, then takes, and mate. That's the trap that people go for. However, instead of playing bishop c3, you play knight c3. And the queen is just terribly placed. Bishop b4. Now, I didn't follow up correctly, although it's still pretty good for me. I traded, and then I played queen d2, a6. Here I'm like, you know, if I trade, then he takes. So I'm just going to take a pawn first, knight c7, and then take on b4. And then we're just vibing. We're just up a pawn. You know, his queen is still being attacked. And yeah, e4, queen b1, queen d1. I offer a queen trade, which I would be fine with, but he declines, taking on a2. I knew he'd take the pawn. I was just like, this has got to be better for me. Bishop c4. Computer liked a different move. I won't reveal the move it liked, actually, because that'll actually be sort of a puzzle I give you later, which is a move I found. But anyway, here I play queen d2. And this is where I made a big commitment. And I had calculated this. You know, my rook is attacked. And I can just play something like rook d3 and then just castle and just try to hold it together. However, I decided to just, like, you know, take the initiative. Because part of the complication of this position is if I don't just blast him off the board, you know, I'm not sure about that. So I play queen d2. And the idea is that I am sacrificing my rook. However, and I didn't even calculate this next move, which the move I played is actually the only winning move. My thought was, okay, I'm just going to calculate, like, do I have bishop f7? Do I have knight g5? Do I have queen d5? Something like that. I would not recommend it in classical, just, you know, sacrificing a rook, then figuring it out from there. However, I was like, it's blitz, you know, it's the final game, most likely. I was just like, it's gotta be good. Which, again, in classical, I wouldn't recommend, unless you have some, like, concrete tactical justifications. Like, if you can calculate that bishop f7 and knight g5 is, like, at least a draw or something like that, then that's fine. And obviously, it's situational. But here, I found the only winning move. It's kind of hard to find until you see the idea. So, white to play and win, basically. Alright. If you need some more time, feel free to pause. The idea? Bishop b5. And quite simply, his bishop is paralyzed, and when I sack my rook, I'm going to get my queen in. And then it's just going to be bonkers. That's the idea. And because of his lack of development, playing the England and just moving his queen just all over, outer space, he can't move the bishop. Like, he can't even, like, I'm sacking, like, no matter what. Like, not to mention, like, his queen has no influence on my queen. Sorry, his queen has no influence on my king and won't for a while. So I'm just chilling here. They play g6. And here, this move e6 is crushing. Because, well, if he allows me to take, then I'll just gladly take f7, then expose the king. D takes is illegal, because the king would get captured. And then if f takes, now I sack. And the idea is that, in this position, the king can't really hide on g7, which is what happened in the game. Well, I mean, he can, but he's getting hunted. Like, I think queen c7 is apparently just better, with ideas to go here if needed. Like, if king h6, there's queen f4. But nonetheless, what happened in the game, I sacked immediately, which, I mean, this is still good, but got a little bit complicated, and apparently later I gave away my advantage completely. Here, he can play knight g4, and so the idea is if I just, like, do something like promote to a knight, he actually doesn't take because of this, and it's just, that might be fine, but it's kind of complicated. But they can hide with king h6. Then, like, apparently this is just a draw. King d1, knight e3. I mean, it's almost mate, but, like, the square's protected, thankfully, and just, like... Yeah, and apparently rook takes e8 is drawn. Queen takes f3. This is crazy. My king's super exposed, and, like, so is his, but there's not really a way for us to attack each other. I feel like in blitz it would not be drawn, is my guess, but it's what our good old... friend Stockfish says. He played queen g4. I made a queen just with the idea to take f7, and then, yeah, I'm in time pressure, actually. I have 8 seconds. There is increment, but I'm just, like, kind of panicking. I sucked up all my time just trying to figure out how to attack. I just proposed a queen trade. They traded queens, and then, yeah, computer says equal, but I'm the one with a passed pawn, with 2 passed pawns and, like, active pieces. Like, I still felt fine, actually. And then, like, especially after they traded, now that I look at it, maybe e6 is more accurate just so that the pawns are further away. But nonetheless, I played c takes, and I just have 2 connected passed pawns. This is completely winning. I did have a brain fart here allowing this, but he missed it as well. And then once I get my pawns up to the 7th rank, well, I have 2 pawns on the 6th rank, and 2 pawns on the 6th beat a rook. So, I'm just winning here. And then just forked. Yeah. So, those were the games. I hope you enjoyed this analysis. Feel free to let me know if you have any feedback. I'm a bit rusty just with recording YouTube and just teaching chess in general. Actually, he didn't resign here, but yeah, it's just like game over. I'll show all the moves. We kind of trolled him a little bit, not making them immediately, but yeah, as I said, feel free to leave me some feedback, comment, like, and subscribe. Hopefully this is the first of many videos in a while, and I'll see you next time.